Hey guys, welcome to Freedom Recovery Program, Chapter 3, Part 1. When we talk about making any kind of significant changes in our lives, um, we have to talk about our thoughts or think about our thoughts. You've heard me talk about metacognition, thinking about what we think about. The reason this is imperative if we want to make any kind of change is that out of our beliefs come our emotions, and out of our emotions come our actions. It sounds so simple, but it's profound how much our beliefs really um, affect our entire lives. In fact, I wrote in my book, if we think about our thoughts as seeds that we plant, each one eventually bearing fruit in our life, we begin to see the importance of healthy thinking. And so you'll hear me say this a lot. Out of our beliefs come our emotions, out of our emotions come our actions. And it's so important because in our life, whatever your goal is, if you have a goal to slow down your substance use or to stop using substances, um, we have to identify what are we believing in order to change our emotions and our actions. So if I have unwanted emotions, I need to follow that back to what am I believing that's causing that emotion. If I have unwanted actions, in other words, there are things that I want to stop doing or things that I want to start doing, we need to follow that back to our emotions and back to our beliefs. So let me say it again. Out of our beliefs come our emotions. Out of our emotions come our actions. Let me give you a real general, easy to follow example of that. I remember growing up south of Chicago and watching the Chicago news as I was a little kid. And I saw a woman, they showed this story of a woman who thought that she had won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, but she hadn't. And I don't know if you remember those Publishers Clearinghouse where Ed McMahon would come to the house and he'd knock on the door and have that giant check that says, "You won $10 million." dollars. They would have these things that would go out in the mail. And I remember getting them when I was young that would say, "My name, you have won $10 million." But in the real fine print, it says something like, if you've got the winning lucky numbers, then we will say, you know, Jane Johnson, you have definitely won $10 million. Well, the woman had gotten that in the mail and she was ecstatic. And so she went out and racked up a lot of credit card debt, knowing that she was going to get this $10 million. Well, of course, she was devastated and wanted to sue Publishers Clearinghouse for this false advertising. Um, it illustrates the point that out of our beliefs come our emotions, and out of our emotions come our actions. Because I guarantee whatever she was feeling that morning, no matter what kind of fight she might have had with her husband the night before, no matter what might be going on at home with her kids or with her neighbors, no matter how frustrated she might have been with her job, when she believed that she won that $10 million, none of that mattered or all of that took a back seat because out of our beliefs come our emotions. So now that she believed that her life was going to change, even though that belief ended up not being true, because she believed it, it changed her emotions. And of course it would. You'd be elated. And out of those emotions come your actions. And you can imagine dancing around with excitement out of those emotions. You could imagine that out of that belief that she was going to be $10 million richer, she probably went and quit her job. She might have quit her job in an antisocial way and told her boss where they could, that she was quitting. Um, and so, conversely, when she found out the truth and she believed that she actually hadn't won, out of your beliefs come your emotions, out of your emotions come your actions. Her emotion was probably very sad, very frustrated, maybe angry, maybe had some anxiety. Now, what am I going to do when I have to go back and beg for my job? How is that going to make you act or react? Well, we're talking about substance abuse and what are the lies that led me to or kept me in my addiction. because out of our beliefs come our emotions, out of our emotions come our actions. We need to make sure that what I'm believing is actually true. And we talked about that in the last video. If you have not watched that video um, previous to this, I encourage you to. Talking about our emotions and identifying our emotions, some real practical, powerful stuff. Um, Let me give you another example, though, of something that could easily lead you to or keep you in your substance abuse. And this happened to me when I was a very young kid. I got made fun of because of my Kmart clothes and my Rustler jeans, which, if you were as old as I am, you got made fun of for wearing Kmart clothes when you were little, and those dark blue Rustler jeans with the orange threads down the side. I know I'm dating myself for some of you, but back in the day, you got made fun of if you wore Kmart clothes, and I did. You couldn't say I'm not wearing Kmart clothes because you could identify those Rustler jeans miles away. I also got made fun of as a kid because I was in learning disability class. They called it LD. They called me learning disabled. I remember sometimes the principal would get on the intercom and would announce in front of the whole class to my teacher, Mrs. Jones, would you please send Brian to LD class? Which everyone knows LD stands for learning disabled. I remember picking up my books and feeling so um, humiliated, some shame that I'm not as smart as the other kids. I remember walking down the hall on my way to LD class and looking in the classroom and seeing people watching a movie in this classroom and people taking a test in that classroom and going to the next one, and some kids had their hands raised. They were participating. And I remember thinking, what would it be like to be a normal kid? What would it be like just to be a normal kid? Well, remember what I said. Out of our beliefs come our emotions. Out of our emotions come our actions. So it's important for us to think about what we think about. Think about what we believe. Now, if I believe that kids are making fun of me, is that a lie? Well, that's not a lie. Kids really were making fun of me. But if I believe that I'm worthless, I'm a piece of garbage, I'm less than everybody else, that's a lie. And so, as painful as it is to think that the kids are making fun of me, it's even worse to think, and that means that I'm less than everybody else. So now, as we begin to heal, as we get some counseling and we realize it's so important for us to think about how we think about how we talk to ourselves. We need to train ourselves to have metacognition, to think about our thoughts. We need to train ourselves to uh, talk to ourselves in a more positive way. So if I was counseling that kid now, I would say, um, you need to reframe what you're saying to yourself. Because if you're constantly telling yourself, I'm being picked on and I'm less than everybody else and I'm stupid, out of those beliefs are going to cause a lot of negative, unwanted emotions. Possibly going to give me anxiety when I walk into a room because I so much don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel worthless. I don't want to say something stupid and then feel that pain, feel that hurt even more. It might cause anger because I feel like I am somebody. I feel like I'm worthy to have friends and to be accepted. But it's hard. Um, it's hard when you're getting made fun of. Um, I might have depression, just feeling like there's nothing I can do. I guess I wasn't born smart. I guess you know my parents don't have as much money as your parents might have, and so I'm being made fun of for that. I need to learn to reframe that. Um, so I might say something like this in that scenario. Um, it's not important for me to have the approval of others. That's the truth. The lie might be, as I identify, am I believing any lies? Well, I think it's so important that I have the approval of others. Imagine the freedom that young kid would have when he came to realize, I don't need the approval of others. Imagine if you could get to that place where you're just living in freedom. Um, I would like the approval of others, but I don't need it. I have a few friends that love me, and I'm content with that. I'm a VIP to some people in my family, um, and I'm okay with that. I might not be the smartest person, but I've got other skills, and I excel at some things that are even better than others. For example, I'm an artist. I can draw okay. I can do paintings. Even back then, I was decent at drawing, and I could do cartoons and things like that. Um, if we want to genuinely have change in our emotions, if you're tired of being angry, if you're tired of anxiety, if you're tired of depression, and by the way, these emotions possibly leading you to or keeping you in your addiction, we need to think about what we think about. Identify the emotion and what's causing it, like we said in the previous video, and then identify any lies. Am I believing any lies? For example, the lie that I need to be liked by other people. I need the attention and approval of others. You know what? As I grow older, I've realized that's a lie. And now I've got the freedom to live in that. I don't need the approval of others. Would I like to be accepted? Of course, everybody would. But there's freedom in knowing I don't need to be accepted by others. And those of us that struggle with substance abuse or compulsive behaviors, just replacing that lie with the truth really could be the difference between seeking comfort in an antisocial thing like substance abuse or compulsive behaviors, or being okay with who I am and, going into recovery. That's why it's so important that we identify our beliefs, identify our emotions, and unwanted emotions and unwanted actions, and then reframe that. Um, Imagine that this morning I got, I was getting ready to come to work today, and I was getting in my car, and I heard something behind me, and I turned around, and a dog was right there, and he's growling, and I put my arms up, and the dog bit my arm, and I've got dog bites from my wrist all the way up to my shoulder. Um, but maybe I'm wearing long sleeve shirt today, so you can't see that I've got stitches from my wrist all the way up to my shoulder. So I walk into work and you say, "Hey Brian, how you doing?" How bad would that hurt? Well, that would probably hurt very bad because I've got this wound right beneath the surface. Normally that wouldn't hurt at all. I wouldn't mind at all if you said, "Hey Brian, how you doing?" Give me a little pat on the arm, no big deal. But because I've got this wound right beneath the surface, what you're touching hurts very bad. I'm triggered. I'm triggered. You triggered that pain right beneath the surface. Well, that's how these lie-based beliefs work, or these negative core beliefs. Suppose you're the kid that got made fun of for being poor or being overweight or wearing the bad, the not popular clothes. And maybe you're the kid that didn't measure up to your older sister or older brother. You weren't the kid that really fit in. And, or like me, I remember being in a math class one day, and the teacher had us all line up before we went out to recess. So what's recess? Like kindergarten, first grade, something like that, second grade, whatever grade you learn multiplication, that's what I was in. And the teacher said, when you, after you do this um, flashcard and you get it right, you can go out to recess. But if you get this flashcard wrong, you have to go to the back of the line. So she took this flashcard and she held it up, and it said, 7 times 4 or whatever it is. And I got it wrong. So she said, okay, go to the back of the line. And then when it came to me again, most of the kids were getting them right, but every once in a while there was a kid that got it wrong and he had to go to the back, or she. So it got to me again, and she held up the flashcard. And again, I got it wrong. So I had to go to the back of the line. And when it came to me again, the third time, everyone else was outside. Everyone had already gone to recess, and it was just me and the teacher. And the teacher held up the flashcard, and it said 9 times 7 or whatever it was. And I looked at it, and I looked at my teacher, and I said, I don't know. And she basically said something like this: you'll never get it. Just go outside. And guys, I internalized that. You'll never get it. Out of our beliefs come our emotions. Out of our emotions come our actions. I began to believe that I'm stupid, that I'm less than everybody else, that there's something wrong with me, that I'm flawed. And I began to believe that I'm worthless. Now, when we're identifying our lies, the lies we believe that lead us to or keep us in our addictions, when we begin to work on this first D of addiction, which is deception, we need to cut through what is the truth and what is the lie. Because the truth might be you're getting made fun of by other kids. That's true. The truth might be that I'm not as smart as the other kids. That's true. The truth might be that my teacher said something hurtful to me. That's true. But the truth isn't that I'm stupid. The truth isn't that I'm a piece of garbage. The truth is not that I'm worthless, that I have no value. Those are lies. And here's what I'm trying to say. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being doesn't hurt at all, 10 being this hurts more than anything. 10 is I need to go to the hospital. 10 is I need to check into a mental ward because I'm going to hurt myself or someone else. How bad does it hurt that my teacher said something hurtful to me? Well, that's a 6 or a 7. But how bad does it hurt that I believe that I'm worthless? That's a 10. And here's what I'm trying to say. Life is hard enough. The real world will push you down hard enough. It doesn't need your help. They don't need your help to kick you down. The world will do enough of that themselves. So yes, it's hard being picked on by friends or by, kids at school. Yes, it's hard believing that you're not good enough or, not getting as good of grades as your friends. That's true. You don't need to add to it by saying, I'm worthless. I'm a piece of garbage. That's not true. I've said this in the last video, I think. I picture in the cartoons there used to be a little devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder. And, the devil is saying something negative and the angel is there saying something positive. You have got to be that angel on your shoulder. You've got to be your own coach and coach yourself and say, am I believing any lies? Identify that emotion, like I said last time. Anger is caused when a goal is blocked. What goal is blocked? Anxiety is caused when a goal seems uncertain. So you identify what goal is uncertain. And depression is caused when a goal seems unattainable. So what goal is it that seems unattainable? Once we identify the unwanted emotion, then we need to ask ourselves, am I believing any lies? The lie in this scenario is that I'm worthless, that because I struggle worse than other kids in class, I must be worthless. I must be stupid. I must be less than. Then we need to reframe that. We need to reframe our mind and say, here's the truth. The truth is I do struggle with reading. I do struggle with comprehension. I do struggle with math. That doesn't make me less than anyone else. Here's a lie. The lie is that I need the approval of my classmates. I don't need the approval of my classmates. I'm going to go on and do great things in life. That's the truth. I'm not going to be stuck in this situation forever. That's the truth. There's a spiritual principle that says when you know the truth will set you free. And guys, that's true. Whether you believe in higher power or not, that is true. The truth brings freedom. Don't be bound to those lies that you're less than everybody, other people. That's a lie. That's a lie that might lead you to or keep you in your addiction. Why not believe the truth? The truth is I am somebody. The truth is I'm very important to someone. And when you tell yourself that, that feels good. You can almost feel it in your in your insides. That feels good to say, you know what? Um, I might be fighting with my wife right now. I might be fighting with my husband. I might be fighting with my kids right now. I might be fighting with my parents if you're a young person, or even with your adult parents. But we're gonna get through this. That gives you hope, and it gives you freedom. Sometimes we will be that devil on our shoulder, metaphorically, and we will say, "This is never gonna get better." Um, this is going to end in divorce, or I hate myself, or I hate my parents. Be careful how you talk to yourself, because out of our beliefs come our emotions, and out of our emotions come our actions. If you're listening to this right now and you're someone who wants to change the way you feel, you're tired of anger, you're tired of anxiety, you're tired of depression. If you're listening to this and you're someone who wants to change your action. You're tired of always going straight to gambling, or straight to pornography, or straight to overeating, or straight to drinking or substance abuse. We need to change what we believe so we can alter how we feel, so we can change our actions. So begin to practice to coach yourself. This is a true story. I just got a phone call yesterday from a former client who was my client when he was incarcerated in prison, and now he's out of prison. He's been out for several months. He's got a good job. He's got his own place. He just got some new furniture in his place, and things are going fairly well. And he was talking to me about this principle as it relates to what's going on in his life right now. He said, struggling with my um, girlfriend, who was his children's mom. See, he would like to get back together with her, but he knows that it's probably not going to happen, and he's feeling very bad about it. He's feeling bad because he wants to give his children that traditional um, upbringing where there's a mom and a dad and they're living together as a family, and he's down on himself. And I told him, hey, remember, out of our beliefs come our emotions, out of our emotions come our actions. I told him, remember, you've got to coach yourself. Um, this is likely not going to happen. And although it's difficult, we don't want to minimize it. I'm not trying to whitewash it and say this isn't difficult. It's difficult, but remember, coach yourself. I can get through this. This is hard, but I'm going to be the best dad that I can be. And you know what he said to me? It's so interesting. He said, Mr. Fontaine, that really works for me. He said, when I try to reframe it, because this is what I teach my clients. He said, when I try to reframe it and look at it in a more positive way, it helps. When I coach myself and I tell myself, yes, this is going to be okay. It's not perfect, but I can get through this. I am going to get through it. He said, it helps. He said, the problem is that I always or often go back to that same old thinking. Um, and I told him this. I said, when I clean my aquarium at home, I just cleaned my aquarium the day before. I said, I take every single rock out of the aquarium, the big rocks and all the way to the real tiny rocks. And I take every single rock out and I clean it with a toothbrush. Every week, I clean every rock in my aquarium. Why? Because I want to maintain a healthy aquarium. And if you want to maintain a healthy mental health, if you're tired of negative, unwanted emotions, if you want to change your actions, it requires daily, constant maintenance. You got to clean the rocks, every rock, every time. And it has to become a habit, because we've been in the habit for so long of being that devil on our shoulder, beating ourselves up, repeating those lies. I'm so stupid. I'm such a failure. I'm so worthless. That is our belief, and it leads to negative, unwanted emotions, and it leads to actions that are often antisocial. that are often include substance abuse and compulsive behaviors. If we want to change that substance abuse and those compulsive behaviors, we've got to follow that back and retrace to figure out what those emotions are and follow it back to our beliefs. Am I believing any lies? Then we need to replace those lies with the truth, and that is what brings freedom. Let me leave you with this illustration. I've probably told you this before, but it bears repeating. Picture, if you will, an escalator that's going down. It's slowly going down, and you're at the bottom of that escalator, and you want to get to the very top. If you want to get to the top of the escalator, it's not going to be difficult. You just got to keep stepping. You got to walk faster than the escalator's going down, and you'll get to the top. But let me tell you this, if you stop for 1 minute on that escalator, you're going to slowly go back down. And I think that's a powerful illustration of addiction and recovery. In recovery, you have to keep stepping. And the moment you stop stepping, you're likely going to fall right back down to those patterns of substance abuse and those compulsive behaviors. That's one of those steps that we have to keep repeating, and I'll give you more. But for today, the step that we need to keep repeating is identifying why am I angry? What goal is blocked? Why am I anxious? What goal seems uncertain? Why am I depressed? What goal seems unattainable? And am I believing any lies? And let me encourage you, if you're struggling to identify what lies you might be believing, that's what you need to bring up to your counselor. If you're watching this as part of Freedom Recovery Program and you've paid for the counseling sessions, bring that up with me. Or if you have a different counselor, bring that up with your counselor and tell them, I need help identifying what lies I'm believing, and we'll help you work through that. That's going to be an end for today. I hope that was helpful for you, and until next time, God bless you.